John, thank you so much for the time today.
My pleasure to be here with you, Teresa.
Now, with the tentative deal being reached, do we know what some of the key points are that are allowing people to return to work?
Well, I think the union has been very vocal in terms of what the issues are that they want to address in this agreement. Ground pay, which now is at the tip of every Canadian's tongue, and they understand what ground pay is. Question is going to be that concept has been accepted by Air Canada. Question is in the negotiations that took place overnight, they probably decided what was a wage level that was going to be applied for ground pay, and when does that ground pay clock start and stop. And I think that's the crux of the negotiations. I think they're going to have to, get to the membership sooner than later this week, and give them a definition of what ground pay looks like for the proposed contract. And the other one was wages. The union has been very vocal in terms of the pay that they're starting flight attendants at Air Canada and at Rouge being paid or paying at poverty levels, and lining up at soup kitchens and living in an apartment and living in RVs. So that is another issue that I think should have been addressed. Hopefully it has been addressed. That was one area that I thought needed to be addressed pretty quickly. So we'll like to see how that got figured out and straightened out. So, it took 10 hours and face-to-face negotiations. It's amazing what negotiations do.
And what does this tentative agreement mean for Air Canada operations moving forward? Can the union choose to pull out the carpet again and go back on strike, or is there a deal now that requires them to continue to work until a solid deal is reached?
Well, they're back to work. So there's no doubt about it. They're coming back to work. Air Canada now is winding up its fleet of 236 airplanes, which should take them about a week to get them back in place where they should be, because their airplanes are going to have to go around the world. The union is basically bringing the proposed agreement to the membership to vote on. And there's always a possibility that the vote could be negative. Mm-hmm. They could turn it down, and then we're back to square one. Now, does the union walk out again if the vote is turned down? That's something the membership's going to have to decide, depending on how big the gap is. But the odds of having this agreement turned down. There's some strong demands that, both of those elements of ground pay and salary have to be, demonstrated to the union membership that they've been addressed. If they haven't been addressed to the extent that the union membership wants, they can vote it down. And it's been done before. I think Air Transat, was a couple of years ago, had to go through 3 rounds of voting to get their flight attendants to agree to a contract. So it's not a slam dunk just yet. There's a lot of work that has to be done to sell the membership, plus get them to vote.
And how has this strike been different from previous aviation strikes?
This one, the fact that they shut the airline down is one, pretty amazing. And I think Air Canada was caught by surprise that the flight attendants would shut it down. I think the president of Air Canada was quite vocal yesterday when he said he never thought that the union would be in violation of a 107 referral to the labor board. And they did. And to me, it was an act of civil disobedience, and backed by not just their own union membership, but by other unions across Canada. So there was a lot of intestinal fortitude being expressed by the union and unions in defying the CIRB request to go back to work. Lesson learned that, if the government's going to do this, make sure you do it with, the right labor force and the right situation, because, this has been going on for too many organizations in the private sector.
Now, do you see a solid deal being reached here, or do you see either one or both parties leaving with having to compromise and not being 100% happy with the outcome?
Oh, yeah. This is negotiation. This is what negotiations are all about. You win, and you lose. So there's some stuff that Air Canada, was pretty vehement that didn't want to pay, and they had sort of said yes to ground pay, but the rest of the salaries and the wage increases, I think Air Canada was saying no to that. And we'll see. We'll see what the agreement says. We'll see how much Air Canada had to, back off its rather stringent approach to wage increases. Let's see if the union won on that one. So, the union wanted 100% wage coverage for ground pay. I don't think they got that. So at least the concept of ground pay isn't. And I think that to the union, that's a big deal. As you can see, the ads are still running this morning on ground pay. So I think that that to me is a major waiting for the union. Air Canada knew this had to come at a certain point in time. So it's not a big loss for Air Canada, but it is a big functional win for the union.
And what do the circumstances surrounding this tentative agreement suggest about the current state of labor relations in Canada's airline industry?
I think that we may have crossed the Rubicon on this one, that, you can't go running to mommy and daddy in Ottawa and basically protect you from the movie. Air Canada did this under the, did the stance that it took and shut the airline down, locked out the employees based on a belief that the CIRB would in fact vote on 107 and force the employees back to work. And that did not happen. And so, I think using the minister's power to refer to the CIRB has been weakened. The minister kind of realizes that, even though they may be far apart in a public platform, and when you put them together in the room and you say you don't leave until you have an agreement, which is what I think happened here, that agreements can come up fairly quickly.
And what have been the financial impacts for Air Canada during this dispute?
Oh, they've lost probably about a little over $100 million in terms of revenues. It's not over yet. They've got another 300,000 passengers who are going to have their flights canceled over the next few days because not all of them can be accommodated. The flights won't be operating. So the angst and the concern for passengers will continue. It'll be lessened. It won't be 130,000. Maybe, 100,000 today, and 70,000 tomorrow, and 50,000 on Thursday. But there will still be passengers inconvenienced as there's, in order for Air Canada to get its back to work.
And do you see consumers choosing other airlines where they can because of the strike and just the inconsistency with Air Canada?
You said the operative word, where they can. Well, we do have competition in Canada. Air Canada is the biggest fish in town. So, there really isn't, some choices that people have to make. Many people are part of Aeroplan, and you want to get points. And so they're kind of locked into Air Canada in terms of flying. And Canadians generally have a short memory when it comes to disruption. We've had disruptions by Air Canada over the last few years. Major disruption that cost significant, and Air Canada is still full. So, yeah, people want to fly. People want to fly, and they'll fly the carrier that gets them where they want to be at a price that Air Canada's been good at that. So, memory is short.
Well, John, thank you so much for the time today.
Teresa, been a pleasure as always.